welcome. This is our very first in-person event. I think for the last 2 years, I have seen people on cameras and some we've started seeing this year in person in the classes. It's just so wonderful to be back on campus. Welcome to everyone in person and everyone online virtually joining us. And I think this is the new way of doing things, that we are going to be doing a lot of events in this hybrid mode. And we're very fortunate that Carlson School has these classrooms that allow us to really do this kind of virtual hybrid learning and meeting. Let's see. I'm Pınar Karacamandic. I'm a professor at the Carlson School in the Department of Finance. I'm a health economist, and I'm the academic director of the Medical Industry Leadership Institute, which we call our MILI. And I have been in this role since 2017, and I took the baton from Professor Steve Parente, who is going to be joining us virtually, I think. Steve, hi, if you're there already. We're just really proud of the work we do, and wanted to share basically in this kickoff event the kind of work we do with MILI and just healthcare in general at the Carlson School. For those of you who are looking into opportunities, and I know I heard some of you are convincing each other about healthcare and pursuing careers in healthcare. Minnesota's private sector employs about 2.3 million individuals, and healthcare and social assistance is one of the largest sectors, only followed by manufacturing. In terms of our state and our healthcare, we always have had a very innovative healthcare system with very innovative parties, and we actually ranked third in terms of state health system performance among all 50 states. But that doesn't mean we're up there and that we are comfortable, because when you actually start a deep dive on our healthcare, we don't do very well in terms of some of the disparities and affordability and access. So those are a lot of areas that we at the Minnesota community have to be working on even harder. Of course, in terms of the Carlson School, we have some statistics we want to share. This is that medical industry and healthcare in general is one of the most popular majors. In the full-time MBA program, 19% accepted employment in healthcare, and these are class of 2020 statistics. And this number, healthcare, doesn't actually include consulting. So if you add consulting, this is actually even a larger number. And 26% of the internships were in healthcare. Very similar numbers in the part-time MBA program, where we have 28% of the student body accepting employment in healthcare. And then we have a really nice new group of undergraduate students through our Business of Healthcare minor that we are growing as a community over the last year, really. Fall 2020 was the first year where we launched the undergraduate minor. Again, we have 8% accepted in employment in healthcare, and here, this doesn't include consulting or manufacturing. So like the 3Ms and the Medtronics, and they're not in this statistic. And then 10% of the internships were in healthcare. So MILI, our mission is to shape the future of the medical industry and drive innovation through our cutting-edge leadership education, research, and market development. And we do that in many different ways. We offer timely and relevant courses. We create research opportunities. We provide student and faculty engagement. We have a lot of industry partners. As you get to know us better and work with us, you will see the level of the industry engagement that we have. We have an executive in residence program. You will hear from them. We have a large alumni community. You will hear from them. We have student associations at the undergraduate and the MBA level, and you'll hear from them. We do site visits, experiential learning, networking, thought leadership, conferences, and lots of opportunities. So again, I'm the academic director. I'm accompanied here by Kim Choi, who is just a fantastic person to work with. And a lot of the things that you see that is coming through MILI, it's her work, and she's the one, I always say she's the one who really makes the magic happen. Jessica Hout, our managing director, has been with MILI from probably its origins and has done so much for this community. And she works primarily with the students and the alumni relations. And she's also the managing director of the Valuation Lab. And you will hear about the Valuation Lab as well. Our home department is the finance department. So all the MILI courses actually sit in the finance department and are offered through the finance department. And so we have our professor, Tracy Yu Wang, who's my department chair, oversees the course curriculum and the courses and the academic parts of MILI. I'm so proud to say that with the entire community that we have done so much over the last few years. We have received so many different awards. Our Valuation Lab that you will hear again about was a 2017 MBA Roundtable Innovator Award. In 2019, MILI as an institute was recognized as an innovation that inspires by the AACSB. So this is the worldwide accrediting organization for all business schools. In 2019, again, with the collaboration of MILI Community, academic, as well as our alumni, we have won a very interesting challenge, a national challenge that was done through the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. It created a very innovative app that to collect information from individuals. So that's sort of like the research part of things that we do. In 2021, we were again recognized as an AACSB that inspires recognition, this time for our COVID-19 hospitalization tracking project, which has just, I don't know, it's a really, it's an emotional project where we launched in March of 2020, and we are doing it to date, hand collecting data, and some of our students who are actually working as research assistants, and we're making an incredible amount of impact in the community. Similarly, we received 2 Stevie Silver Awards from American Business Association, and we became an NICHM, that's National Institute of Healthcare Management Foundation finalist in the Digital Media Award for our hospitalization tracking project. Our other competitors finalists or cohort of finalists were like New York Times, The Sun, The Guardian, and NPR. So we were there alongside with them. Extremely humbling and extremely proud of the work we do. To summarize the MILI community, it's probably one way to think about it is we have our academics, which is our curriculum with our MILI courses. We have a ton of University of Minnesota collaborators. One of the core things that we do is very interdisciplinary because healthcare cannot be done by the businessmen alone. You have to approach the healthcare with the medical, with the provider, with the engineering side, with the business, with the policy, all of it in this public health. So we work a lot with different institutes and departments, and we do a lot of events with them very intentionally. We have faculty, both faculty teaching our MILI courses that you will get to know, but also a lot of faculty and doctoral students at the Carlson School who are doing really phenomenal work in healthcare. Just in 2021 alone, we have had faculty from the Carlson School publish 25 papers in peer-reviewed journals that are in the healthcare space, approaching it from marketing, approaching it from information systems, approaching it from economics, finance, supply chain. It's very wide. Our students and alumni, MILI Student Association, you'll hear about, and MILI undergraduate, really instrumental in gathering our community together. Our MILI affiliates, their numbers increase every year. We have 670 plus MILI affiliates right now. We're working professionals who are engaging with our students and the program. And it's very nice to see this kind of transition where there's a lot of mentoring that goes from affiliates to the students, the MBA students, and now the undergraduates. Again, lots of industry partners. We take it to the core that when we work with the industry partners and the events that we create for thought leadership and really knowing the trends, the most current trends, we take, again, a very interdisciplinary approach. We often bring together the insurance sector, for example, with the manufacturing sector, or we bring in together the Blue Cross Blue Shield together with Medtronic and United all together and create events in that very cross-sector approach. In 2020 to 2021 alone, we hosted 16 virtual events, none of them were in person. Had speakers from 41 companies, and we had about 1,000 attendees in these events. Then, of course, our work wouldn't be complete if we weren't engaging with industry advisors, both through our National Industry Council, a group of industry executives who really help give us feedback on the program, as well as our executives in residence you will hear from, who are very much student-focused, mentoring-focused, really are donating their time to the students and for their careers. Lots of educational engagement. Again, you'll hear some of it. We're part of a larger group, an association called Business School Alliance. for Healthcare Management. They have a fun acronym, BAM. And this is an organization that is a group of about 18 universities, international and national, top universities that are offering programs in the business schools that are offering programs in healthcare. So we work with them, we compete with them, we participate, we do events together. The other thing that we do is we lead a University of Minnesota interdisciplinary health data competition where we bring in students from all different colleges to work on important health data challenges. Like this year, for example, we had 12 schools represented, 94 students competed on working with data on COVID disparities, understanding the COVID impact on communities. We have a monthly newsletter, so please, if you are not part of it, let us know. We are happy to add you so you can hear about it. So again, overall, the course offerings, again, spanning through the entire industry as we think about it, pharmaceutical devices, healthcare law, anatomy and physiology, analytics, healthcare marketplace, devices, technology, and you will hear about our experiential learning course, Medical Industry Valuation Lab in a bit. This is our graduating class of 2021. Usually we go out and we take this nice photo in front of the Mariucci at graduation, and this is our best case collage. We had 44 students earn the MILI specialization as a part of the class 2021. And the specialization is essentially the courses that I just showed. There's a collection of those courses that you would take. You would take the Valuation Lab, the Marketplace, and another course to earn you a designation for MILI specialization. And in terms of the graduation, it represents about 15% of our part-time MBA students are receiving the MILI specialization and 24% of the full-time MBAs from last year's class. Carl Plateau Leadership Competition is another competition we have internally where we recognize 3 MBA students every year for their leadership in the healthcare and for their vision in the way they're thinking innovatively about healthcare. And more information will come on this in the spring semester. And now I'm going to give it to Matt, who will talk about our Valuation Lab, or I don't know if Steve, you would like to join in. I see Steve.
Yeah,
Matt,
I'm here.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, Matt, if you want to turn to the slides, I can do this quickly.
I can turn the slides too if you want.
I've got the slides.
Just give me the prompt, Steve. I'll turn the slides.
All right. Thanks, Pinar. Great to see you all virtually. Sorry I can't be there in person. There's a lot of back-to-back offsite meetings today. So just what is the lab? The lab is really our core experiential learning program. What it really is an opportunity to look at early stage medical technologies, real ones, at a very critical part where they need to get investment. And it's an opportunity to work across disciplines in a very applied way. It's a signature part of what we've done with MILI and been developed since 2008. And it also provides a tremendous opportunity for networking, as you see in the pictures. All those are from events that we've had in Palo Alto, whether in Stockholm or just informally as time has gone on. Next slide.
I'm kind of blocking the slides.
So the folks that are engaged in this, Mike Finch and myself have been kind of like driving the lab since 2008. I asked Mike to help me for 3 months. He stayed for 13 years. I'm indebted forever for that. Matt Stoll was one of our students who's graduated to being a super instructor in this. And as Pinar mentioned, Jessica Help's been absolutely essential in moving forward, not just MILI, but also the Valuation Lab and all the components of what's there. What makes the lab unique is that there's actually a signed agreement with 8 academic deans across the University of Minnesota, where the students that are coming in are not just Carlson students, but they're also from medicine, law, engineering, nursing, public health, liberal arts, pharmacy, and nursing. So it really becomes quite a great interdisciplinary space to work with. And engineering and law become super important besides just the obvious piece of medicine. Next slide. So what do we actually do in this lab? This is our evaluation lab process. What we do is in a course of, depends which course you take, but if you're doing the regular semester version, which runs basically fall, spring, and summer all year round, you basically have 5 weeks to assess a brand new technology. You will meet with the inventors. And what makes this course unique compared to most other courses that are typical business school courses and consulting is you're not really working so much for the client like a consulting project. You're actually assessing that inventor's project and writing a report really for the investor class to determine whether or not it's worthy of investment to go to the next level. Because often new medical technologies, whether they're devices or pharmaceuticals, take tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars to get through regulatory hurdles, patent components, and just to get the production to market. So in terms of when you actually go through the different components of this, you're going to be meeting the client. You're going to be thinking out whether or not with your team, this is actually going to be able to work or not. You're going to have 5 weeks to turn around a PowerPoint deck. There are at least 2 intense dress rehearsals and a final presentation. And the various components that you look at are technology, market sizing, the competition, intellectual property, and ultimately the valuation. But the key thing you're going to do is that you're going to come out with a report that says, yes, you should invest, or no, you shouldn't. And understand that 80% of the time we say don't invest or recommend other components of what they can do, which is a lot like what happens in the angel investment community. Employers love this because it's a critical thinking exercise that they don't typically see from normal MBA students or undergrads. And it really has become a signature part of what we do at the school. Next slide, please. So in terms of career engagement, what's exciting about this is that we don't just do one project at a time. We do actually about 30 a year, and we do them not just in Minnesota, but we also go overseas. So that one picture that you see there is actually in Stockholm, Sweden. It actually counts as the not just a Valuation Lab, but also your overseas requirement if you're an MBA student. And that it takes place in 2 weeks, usually in June. I started that program out and then handed the baton to Mike and then Pinar later, and then back to Mike and me. We also have one in Palo Alto, which isn't actually overseas, but depending on how you think of Northern California, well, maybe. But what it does is we're trying to get folks out of their comfort zone, work in a team. The big difference, though, is that instead of having 5 weeks to do one project, you have 2 weeks with some pre-departure classes to really go super intense. But the experience for those that go through it has just been transformational, and it just adds to the whole flavor of it. And even now we're using it as we've gone broader now with Shanghai, and it's the signature part of where my other hat as Associate Dean for all our global stuff. It is the signature experiential learning project for all of our global medical industry MBA and medical industry MBA programs that we run today. What's amazing is that we have 700 plus alum, and they're not just Carlson alum, they're engineering alum, they're nursing alum, they're medicine alum, plus all the folks from Sweden and Stockholm. We've engaged with well over 100 now in the last basically 6 years since we've been overseas. Next slide. And then finally, to learn more about the lab, we have another information session that's coming up on September 28th, same time, same 4:30 to 5 o'clock. We'll be able to have it as Zoom too, but we'll have the same types of virtual room as well. Great if you can come in. We can tell you more about it and all the different engagements that are involved. It is one of the first things that really put us on the map in terms of starting to win awards for the uniqueness of what's there. And I even remember when I accepted the award for the MBA roundtable that Pinar mentioned, someone from the University of Washington Foster just looked at me saying, like, how did you ever pull this off? I can barely get 3 deans to talk about, let alone 8, let alone 5 projects running per semester. So it's really a unique experience and something that could definitely put you on the map in your resume. And the final point is it's a lot of fun too. It's really one of all the things I've done at the university, probably the most engaging activity, and I'm thrilled to still be engaged with all the alum that have been involved. So thanks, Pinar, and hope to see folks at the information session.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I have to resonate the transformational piece of it. Because when I was teaching the lab in Stockholm, like literally walking on the streets of Stockholm, it just made me as a faculty member just think more innovatively and really find the entrepreneur in me. And I'm just so happy that a lot of that ideas came into fruition today as an innovator myself. All right, so I wanted to move on from the MBA community. Now we have an undergraduate community where we launched our Business of Healthcare minor in fall of 2020. Again, this came a lot of demand from the industry saying that we love to work with the Carlson undergraduate programs and we want to have them come in more trained in the healthcare vocabulary and the institutions. And I don't have to tell all of you in this room how complex of an industry this is, how complex of an interplay it has with the with the policy world and the government, and as well as other markets are very complex. The payments is complex. So we have a 6-credit domain knowledge component, and we have an analytics component as well as a breadth component for undergraduate students. And you will hear from MILI undergraduate students again. This is a growing minor. I know Brooke was telling me that the MILI U is growing with, was it 41 people signed up at the expo, and just this membership of the community. So again, if you're an MBA student, please think of the undergraduates in the room as well in terms of the mentorship and just sort of keeping that chain of mentorship in our school. Again, one of the biggest things that we did since March of 2020 was the COVID-19 hospitalization tracking project. And we did that in collaboration with another Carlson School Center, MISRC, Management Information Research Center. And really this project came up over a Friday night conversation with our MILI executive in residence, Dr. Arkel Giorgio. But she said, we need this information, we must have it. I said, we must have it. And then I looked and the information on hospitalizations was not there. And it was very desperate time in March of 2020, if you remember, that we needed to get that information because everything was picking up and it was not looking very good. So literally over a weekend, we launched this website. It was literally over a weekend. It was literally started with Google Forms and figuring out which state is reporting. Then we had this fantastic group of undergraduate students who said yes to being an RA in such short notice and working with us. And to date, we are hand collecting data from every single Department of Health website and releasing this information. 560,000 website views. Should I be proud or sad or happy? I don't know the feeling, but we have crashed the university's Tableau servers. And it was not fun at the moment, very stressful. But when you think of the impact as people who are trying to get the information we were releasing, it was an incredible impact. And of course, being an academic institution, we didn't just collect the data, we analyzed this data in rigorous ways and we publish with the data. In addition to peer-reviewed journals, we publish key insights every week. We create posts to share with the media. We have 185 plus media mentions. And this is our project team. As you can see, Dr. Arkel Giorgio and Soumya Sam, professor in the Information Decision Sciences. Kim, Yi, Kwa, and Zach, they provide amazing visualization, analytics, and project support, and our undergraduate research assistants. And we have the alumni from this project as well, because we've been doing the project for so long. Again, lots of different media mentions, 180 plus media mentions. We provide weekly data to NPR to date, and we get cited in New York Times every week in their hospitalizations maps. Another big thing that we do in the spirit of convening multi-sector industry is our Convene conference. We had our 3rd annual Convene conference in the spring in the virtual setting. It was a 3-day conference. And in terms of, the focus of the conference is understanding the intersection of the healthcare with the data and the importance of data for driving healthcare, understanding healthcare and the data awareness. We asked our community in around October, what are some of the themes that you would like us to cover in our Convene conference? So please stay tuned for that in the newsletter or a separate communication. Last year, our community wanted us to cover mental health, social determinants of health, and health equity, and in terms of both the drivers and the solutions. So we had a 3-day conference with lots of interest from the community and sponsors of the event, where we could feature thought leadership, 17 leaders from different organizations share their views on what their organization was doing. As I mentioned, the other thing that we do is the interdisciplinary health data competition. We had our 2nd one this past year, also virtual. And the topic was health disparities and community impact of COVID-19, where we launched the student teams with very novel new data sets that were coming from the government. And again, 24 teams representing 12 University of Minnesota colleges and schools, lots of industry and community support. And so we thank our sponsors. Again, each year we partner with lots of different organizations and events and research to really enhance students' real-world learning. And these are just a sample of the companies we worked with in 2020, 2021, in terms of either bringing speakers, sponsoring, being as judges, and just and being part of our system and supporting our program. Some of the upcoming events for save the dates, and you will see them coming up in our communications. In October, we have an event that we are doing jointly with Prime Therapeutics Leadership, looking at the changing market of biosimilars. Biosimilar markets, affordable substitutes for really expensive biologic drugs. And we will be discussing a lot of the trends and barriers, provider, manufacturer perspectives, and health plan perspectives. Also in October, we are part of a group and we're co-sponsoring an event with a new center at the University of Minnesota, Center for Medical Device Cybersecurity. And we are working with them to create a cybersecurity case competition that is going to be open to all students. And again, stay tuned for that. Kim, are we going to be able to put some information in our next newsletter on the competition, or will it be a separate communication, you think?
Yes, it'll be just a quick little blurb.
Okay.
But there'll be some info in there.
Yeah, so think about joining this brand new growing area of cybersecurity. Again, the industry put their heads together and they said, we need to train more people thinking about this issue. So that's one of the competitions for that. In November, we have another very interesting event with the leadership of Minnesota Council of Health Plans. We will have the CEO of the Minnesota Council of Health Plans together with the CEO of Medica and CEO of Health Partners. The goal of the event is how the health plans are working with the providers and other stakeholders and the diversity of the work that they do. In December, we have another really interesting event that we have planned, which we're calling Business of Health Innovation Forum. And here our goal is to really share some of the newer voices in healthcare, non-traditional companies who are really changing the landscape and bringing some really innovative thinking. So it will be done the presenters in this will be McKinsey, where they will be talking about the global work going on in healthcare and how they're working with companies as they change their business models in the pandemic era. McKinsey, Walmart Health, Best Buy Health, and Bind Health. Really interesting companies. And then in the spring, we're planning to have our data competition and convene conference, and we have analytics symposium as well. Again, more information coming. Now I would like to have Dr. Arkel Giorgio, our executives in residence, and I don't know if you wanted to introduce yourself briefly,
Sure,
Arkel,
absolutely.
and tell us about this amazing group. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, one of the key benefits of being involved with MILI is that you have access to 13 executives in residence. So I am honored to be one of the 13, and what I'll do is give you a snapshot of our group. Everybody has such an incredible CV that I'm not going to do it justice in the little bit of time that I have. But I just want to give you a sense of the people that you have access to, that you can ask career advice or startup advice or whatever's on your mind. So just starting at the very top, just starting with myself, I'm currently the Chief Health Officer for Starkey Hearing Technologies. I, like all of our executives in residence, have had a long history of executive roles. So I spent the bulk of my career prior to Starkey at United Health Group. I was the Chief Medical Officer of United Healthcare, and also do a number of other things, including being on air with KSTP, which is the ABC affiliate here in town, and do a weekly segment. So I bring a lot of healthcare industry experience and also media and communications experience to the table. Bill Knudsen, who is the CEO of CareChoice, incredible. Everybody's incredible. We all really like each other a lot. So CareChoice is a home health cooperative. It's actually the first in the nation that he has put together, and he leads that. Bill has incredible expertise in hospital administration, and he was the CEO of Health East in a previous executive role in his life. Dan Cosentino is one of our newer MBAs, not the newest, but one of the newer ones. I'm going to tell you what he does now, but I'm going to tell you how he got there. He's the CEO of a company called ElectroC. You've probably never heard of that company before, because what that company does is a technology that prevents barnacle growth in in boats. So what the heck does that have to do with MILI? But he's a serial entrepreneur. So his first company was called Cardiocom. He started it before remote patient monitoring, before it even had a name. That company was called Cardiocom. He built a digital scale. It expanded to other devices where he could monitor patients remotely at home. Sold it to Medtronic for $200 million. That's public information, but he and his dad funded it, and he's really proud of that. And so he brought that to the table, and then just wants to continue solving problems, and barnacle growth in boats is a problem. So he figured out a new technology for that. Dale Wallstrom is the president and CEO of Act 3. It's his own consulting. He does life science consulting, advises on general management, how companies can grow and scale. He had a long history as a general manager at Medtronic. You're going to hear Medtronic and St. Jude a lot in the histories of people that I described. He was also the CEO of Life Science Alley, which is now called Medical Alley. So he's been quite a leader in the Twin Cities. I'm going to skip over Gopal because he's here with us today. So I'm going to introduce him at the end. John Alexander is a chemical engineer who also does consulting for startups. And he's a business development advisor, especially for early startups, and really works with them so that they can get off the ground with all the discipline that they need. He was a former VP of corporate development at Medtronic. He currently, in addition to his consulting role, also runs a Twin Cities Angels Fund. Dr. Julia Halber is a physician and business executive that spent the bulk of her career at General Mills and was the chief medical officer there, and really focused on the entire company's focus on preventive care. She has a strong background in public health with a master's in public health. So she knows healthcare from from the wellness perspective, employee perspective, and a self-insured employer perspective. Julie Kemp is a senior director of marketing at Philips. And she had previous roles at Vital Images and Medtronic as well. So she brings a wealth of marketing and communications expertise to the team. Dr. Michael Finch, maybe you already know Mike because Steve mentioned him. And of course, he's just been such a valuable part of this team over time. So Mike has such a big part to play with the Val Lab, but in his other job, his other life, he oversees research at Children's Hospital of Minnesota. I met Mike originally when he was at United Health Group. We have many different intersections there, and he has incredible expertise in cost and quality financing analytics. Paul Gam is the founder and CEO of Zurich Medical, which is his own medical device company. He had been involved with Medtronic in the past, and he saw an opportunity to create more efficient, lower cost production of cardiac devices. And so that's what Zurich Medical does. He's also on the board of directors of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota. Randy Nelson, I think I lost track of Randy, but I think he's retired from Piraeus. Is that correct? Right. So he had Evergreen Medical Technologies, another consulting firm. Again, medical device startup discipline. How do you get off the ground? It was bought out by Piraeus, a larger firm that's based in Europe. Randy has incredible expertise like everybody else, and he had previous executive roles at St. Jude Medical, Boston Scientific, and Medtronic, so he covered them all. Susan Alpert, I wish Susan was here. She was the very first EIR. Steve Parente brought her in, and I could go on and on about Susan. So Susan's an MD PhD, so she's a physician, she's a pediatrician by training, she's a PhD in microbiology, and she has a long history in her career in industry. She was at CR Bard. She was head of device regulatory work at the FDA. So has anybody in the room ever had LASIK surgery? Anybody? Yeah, one in the back. Sorry, I didn't mean for you to have to disclose any medical information, but if you ever had it or have it, Susan Alpert is the regulator that signed the permission, right? The regulatory papers to have LASIK be FDA approved. So that's Dr. Susan Alpert from the FDA. She went to Medtronic and oversaw all of Medtronic's government and regulatory affairs. She is amazing. And then finally, Tom Gunderson, who is retired from Piper Jaffray. and he was a very senior, very brilliant analyst of the healthcare industry, continues to bring that lens to the conversations that we have here. And he was most recently the chairman of the board of Minneapolis Heart Institute Foundation. So very brief overview of this incredible group of people. And I would really encourage you to reach out to us as a resource to you. One thing that I would suggest is that when you do reach out, think about what we can do for you. What are your questions? How can we help you? So if we know where to focus, we can help take some steps forward so that you can get one. Thanks. Oh, and I didn't, oh my goodness. So I skipped over Gopal, and then I forgot to mention. So Gopal Khanna is our most recent EIR. We are honored, absolutely honored that Gopal joined our group. Gopal was most recently the director of the Agency for Healthcare Research Quality, was there from 2017 until 2021. ARC is a division of the Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. He was also the first chief technology officer for the state of Minnesota under Governor Pawlenty. He got reappointed to that a second time and brings incredible policy, regulatory, technology expertise to our group. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So how many, by show of hands, would still want to be on this track of healthcare? Is that of interest to you? How many? Good, because that's the new frontier. That is the next frontier. As Arkel just mentioned, I have been in the private sector, public sector, and the world of entrepreneurship. The last 4 being in Washington, D.C., I saw firsthand and very closely where the healthcare system is going. Now, our focus right now today is and needs to be the COVID-19 recovery. As students, as you look ahead, you've got to think about what the new frontier would look like, what the ecosystem would look like beyond COVID-19, because it is already evolving and changing as we speak. A lot of people are caught up in now. You as leaders, we need you to think 9 steps ahead. So let me give you a quick thumbnail sketch of what's happening in terms of drivers for change, especially in the healthcare space, aging of the population. If there's one thing that you want to learn as to do a predictive analytics and identify where the market will be, demographics. Study the demographic changes will show you where the puck will be. The aging of the population, more and more people coming into the healthcare, they need to serve, whether in a hospital or at home. It's changing the way care will be. The second one is technology. Technology is all sorts of technologies, automation within the systems, cybersecurity, data and analytics, and on and on. You've heard about Internet of Things, the devices that are being manufactured, speed, the clarity, the precision is amazing. I call the next one digitization of everything. Today, there's really a creation of a digital imprint of every human being. There's a way to know the color of your eyes, the height, weight, everything about you. What's also happening is that it is setting in motion new ways, the new apps that you hear and about in the marketplace that are looking at very specific issues and challenges. Telehealth. It's been around for many, many years, but last year changed the game and how it will impact the delivery of it in the future. Absolutely. The book has yet to be written. It totally transformed healthcare delivered in the future. Mergers and acquisitions. Almost every company is now in the healthcare space or aspires to be a disruptor. Right in our own backyard, Best Buy started a company 2 years ago, Best Buy Health. They spent $2 billion acquiring 5 companies, totally transforming the way they think. And they're on and on, I can go on. But basically, the message I have for you is that transformational changes are happening. As future leaders of the country, please position yourself because you can make a difference. As for myself, I'm ready to help you in any way I can. I'm reachable, and I'm eager to work with you all because what inspires me the most in my life is the fact that we need future leaders who are going to keep America's competitive advantage, cutting edge for the next 50 years, 100 years. So thank you so much, and I'm available anytime.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Arkel. Thank you, Gopal. And our executives and residents, they are incredible as a resource to both students as well as to us faculty as well in creating a lot of the work that we do. Now we have Alicia Friesma, who is the president of our MILI affiliate group. Alicia, floor is yours. She's online.
Great. Thanks, everybody. So I am the president of the MILI affiliates. We are a group of alumni from the MBA program who are probably the most involved group of alumni at Carlson. We do everything from help put together the MILI mentorship program to, participating as speakers for different classes. We participate with the dockside chats that the Val Lab does. It's a really, really engaged group where it's one where if you reach out to any of us, we'd be more than happy to answer questions. As you can see, our board is made up by 10 people who are across a vast difference of a really big variety of different companies. We have Mark, who is a CEO of his own startup, all the way to, a lot more corporate roles like Merritt and Liz over at Boston Scientific. So we kind of range the gauntlet along those lines. If you want to advance to the next slide, Pinar, I can tell you a little bit more about what we do. So we have around 670 different alumni. I think you want to just keep clicking. There we go.
Alicia, is that
yeah, go for it. So we have about 670 different alumni, and that spans actually worldwide at this point. And there's, I think 70 or so different companies that are represented within that. So we have a pretty wide range of people that we can connect you to. We have, within the alumni, within the MILI affiliates, we really focus on 4 different areas: networking, kind of exposing people to different areas of the medical industry, especially, after those of us that are graduates have kind of been out in the field for a few years, we start to think like, hey, what else is out there? Start thinking about like, what happens if we want to start our own companies, that sort of a thing. Our cornerstone program is our MILI mentorship program. So we pair up with Melissa to match different MBA students with MILI affiliates. If anyone is interested in being a mentor, I do have the link down there to sign up for that one. And we'll be having our kickoff event in the middle to end of October. So while we aren't quite doing everything in person in the fall, we're gonna continue to do things virtually. We're hoping to get back to some more, in-person networking events later in the spring once things have cooled down a little bit. But feel free to reach out. Any of our MILI affiliates are more than happy to talk to each other as well as students, and we'll hopefully see you at one of our next events.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you. And Miss Hand, okay, I clicked one more. Will Miss Handshakes what we're saying? Okay. Now we have Kyle, who will talk about the Melissa board.
Hello, everyone. I am Kyle Lee. I am the president of the Industry Leadership Institute Student Association, which is a mouthful, so we just call ourselves Melissa for short. Here you'll find the rest of our board. We have Lauren Miller, Brian Johnson, Kim Napoli, Sanville, Nathan Brown, Charlie Stevenson, and Jeanette Sterner. One thing to note about this board is we have a very diverse list of backgrounds, especially prior to entering the MBA program. We've had people work in aerodynamics, manufacturing, public health. And so the reason that I tell you this is there are actually 2 reasons. One, it doesn't matter what your background was prior to this point. Anybody is able to join this organization as long as you are interested in healthcare, interested in finding and building the solutions for tomorrow, and you're engaged and committed to doing that. The second reason that I bring this up is because this diversity of experiences and backgrounds is incredibly handy to us It's healthcare is a very, very, very broad industry. You have many different sorts of roles and sectors within it. And so to truly master everything would be impossible, especially at our age. And so it's helpful to have somebody who has a different experience from you, so that way they can help fill in the gaps. On top of that, having these different experiences broadens your horizons about different practices. When you've been involved in, for my example, medical devices for so long, kind of get narrowed in on how one practice may work. And so when you work and learn from somebody who is in, let's say, healthcare delivery, pharmaceuticals, biologics, et cetera, it opens your mind as to other solutions. So that's something to note about this board, very diverse. So why did we gather together as a board? Well, to Pinar's point earlier, it's not enough just to take the classes, the MILI classes. You really have to explore outside of the classroom, right? And so everybody on the board has a curiosity for that. Having said that, we've created some activities for this coming semester, for this coming year. And we hope to learn outside of the classroom by doing this. Not only learn, but also teach. So as Alicia mentioned earlier, we have the MILI mentor matching. So this is an event where we get paired up with one of the affiliates to help learn about possible roles in the industry, figure out which part of the industry it is that you want to participate in, and perhaps answer questions about careers such as, what is important to you in a career? What is it that you want to do? In November, we'll also be having a medical device marketing panel, where we'll bring in members of the medical device community to discuss what that role is like, what the industry is like. So that way our program can we were going to have the Visible Heart Lab visit. I don't know that we're going to be having that this year, but on top of that, we have a Lunch and Learn program, which is a series that I started last year, wherein it's a very low pressure environment. Everybody gathers for lunch, and a few of us on the board basically put on an informational session about some particular aspect of healthcare. Last year, it was clinical trials. And one of the examples that we used was the COVID vaccine. So I know we have a few of those scheduled for this year. Looking forward to seeing you there. And yeah, so we've got some other events planned. Those are mainly the ones for the fall, but just also wanted to highlight that we partner with a lot of people in the community, as you can see here from some of these companies. We partner with individuals, alumni, and close friends to the program to help bring this material to our program, to our class. So you'll get to hear and see from a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different roles, and a lot of different parts of the industry.
Thank you. And
All right, hello everyone. My name is Brooke Wiegert, and I am the president of MILI U, which is our undergraduate student group. So much like Kyle's group with the grad students, we're kind of just the undergraduate arm. We started back in, I think, fall 2019, and then COVID kind of put us all behind. So we didn't have too many events, but hopefully this semester and next semester we'll be bringing back in-person events. Currently, our board is 5 members. Me, Ryan, and Sandra have been on the board since the beginning, and we were joined by Sawyer and Allie last spring. So it's really just the 5 of us working together to plan events for students that are kind of in addition to those business of healthcare minor courses. So in August, we participated in a few activities fairs to kind of really reach out to new students. Pinar kind of touched on it earlier, Explore U. We were able to connect with a lot of incoming students. Our membership as of this afternoon is up to about 58 people. So that's super exciting for us. And it's exciting because we're bringing in students from not only Carlson, but also the College of Biological Science, the College of Liberal Arts, and really everywhere across the university, which is kind of really cool to see all of us come together. And then starting in September, we're gonna kick off some events. Our first one is gonna be with some recruiters from some companies, just kind of give students a taste of what internships and jobs there are available within this healthcare space. And we're also really looking to find some new board members. So if you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior, and you're interested in any leadership positions, and you really want to get involved, please fill out our form. We would love to have you. And with that, I'll
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kyle and Brooke, for sharing about your activities. So I think this concludes our sort of presentation, but happy to take, any one of us are happy to take questions. If there are like questions you want to ask now, we can answer them, but we will hang out for another half an hour in our first networking session in person in the most COVID safe way we could do with some individually packed snacks and drinks. So